This is Mr. Trotter. Welcome to Tuesday's lesson. Today's objective is that we want to cover greatest common factor. I talked a little bit about that at the end of yesterday's video. You're not going to like this because it's pretty much twice the amount of work that we had to do for factors on yesterday and on Thursday of last week. But let's start breaking it down, and hopefully it won't be too difficult. We're going to break this down into 2 days worth of assignments. So tomorrow there'll be another video covering pretty much the same thing. I want to make sure everybody understands this. So let's start with finding the greatest common factor of 15 and 20. When we do this, we need to first find the factors of 15 and 20. So we're going to start with the very first number I have here, which is going to be my 15. And I'm going to do that the same way I did the problems yesterday and on Thursday. So I'm going to start off my first factor is always going to be 1 and that number itself. So that is going to be 1 times 15. And I get an answer of 15. The next number I'm going to try here is going to be a 2. And if we're not sure, we've got the calculator here. We're going to type in 15, divide that by 2, and I get a decimal. So that tells me no, that is not going to be any factors here. I then can try a 3. So if I put into the calculator 15, divide that by 3, I have a factor. So that's going to be 3 times 5 is 15. I only have one more number to try, which is a 4, because 5 is the last number that I would have to go up to. So let's put that into calculator. 15, divide that by 4. I got a decimal, so that's going to be another no. So I now have all the factors for 15. So I'll start by writing those down here on the bottom, just like I would enter those into Schoology. That's going to be a 1, comma. The next number, highest number I have is a 3. The next highest number is going to be a 5. The next highest number is going to be a 15. Just in case we're having trouble seeing where I'm getting those numbers from, that was my 1 over here, my 3, the next highest was a 5, and the next number was a 15. So my factors of 15 are 1, 3, 5, and 15. The second part of this equation is going to be figuring out what what the factors are of 20. So to start with, the first number is always going to be a 1, and I know that 1 times 20 is going to be 20. So there's one of my factors. I can then try a 2 on next. So I'll put that into the calculator, start off with the 20, divide that by 2, and get a whole number. So I have 2 times 10. And that's going to be equal to 20. The next number I'm going to try here is going to be a 3. So if I put in 20 divided by 3, decimal city, so that means that's going to be a no. The next number to try is a 4. And then if I put in 20 divided by 4, I can answer 5. I have 4 times 5. And now I don't need to go any further because there's no numbers that come between 4 and 5. There are, but those are decimals and we're not using those. So all my factors here for 20 are going to be my 1, 2 going in order here, 4, 5, 10, and 20. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here, and I'm going to say my factors of 20 are going to be 1, comma, 2, comma, 4, comma, 5, then I have 10, and then I have a 20. So when I have these numbers, this is the part where I have to find now the common factors between them, and then I'll get into the greatest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of the common factors. So if I look at 15, 1 and 1, in every single pair of numbers that we're going to compare, we're going to find that 1 is always going to be a common factor. Now the next number I have over for 15 is a 3, so I have to see if do I have any 3's in this column? No, I do not. Then I go over to 5. Do I have any 5's in this one? Yes, I do. So I can highlight a 5 over here and 5 over here. These are in common. The next number is a 15, and there's no 15 over here. So the numbers that I have that are common factors are going to be 1's and 5's. Now, as you might have guessed, the key word here is going to be greatest. I want to know what the greatest common factor. So between 1 and 5, which of the numbers is the greatest? Well, that's always going to be the number that's highlighted all the way on the end, the ones that are furthest over to the right. So our GCF, our greatest common factor of 15 and 20 is going to be 5. Not too bad, right? Let's do another example like this. We'll go to the next page. If finding the greatest common factor, GCF, of 12 and 27. So I'm going to set this up the same way I did before. I'm going to work with blue for the first number here for 12. So my first factor is always going to be a 1, and I know that 1 times 12 is going to give me a 12. I then want to test to see if 2 works. So for that, I'm going to go to my calculator. I'll type in my 12 and see if it's divisible by 2. And it is. So I have 2 times 6. And that is equal to 12. The next number to try is going to be 3. So I do 12, divide that by 3, and I get an answer of 4. So I say 3 times 4 is equal to 12. And I don't need to go any higher because the next number is already included in there. So my factors for 12, which we should be pros at this by now, are going to be my 1, then my 2, then my 3, then the 4, 6, and 12. Not too shabby. Now I need to find the factors of 27. So I know my first one is always going to be a 1. And I can do 1 times 27, and I get an answer of 27. The next number to try is going to be a 2. So using the calculator, 27 divided by 2 is decimal. That means that one is not going to work, so it's a no. I can then try putting in a 3 to see if that works. So 27 divided by 3 is 9. So I can say 3 times 9 is 27. Actually, that should be separating these a little bit more. But then I'm going to be trying 4. I want to see, is 27 divisible by 4? 27 divided by 4, decimal, so that is a no. And then I can try a 5. 27 divided by 5, decimal, so that is a no, it's not a factor. I can try 6 next. 27 divided by 6, decimal, that's another no. And then try 7. 27 divided by 7, ooh, major decimal. That's also another no. Now I have to keep going until I get to 9, so I only have one more to try here. 27 divided by 8. 27 divided by 8, that's another decimal, so that's another no. So I don't have many factors of 27. In fact, they are going to be, my factors of 27 are, 1 is the first number. The next largest number I have on this list here is going to be my 3. The next one I have is a 9. And then the largest is a 27. So a much smaller list. So again, I'm now going to find all of the common factors. And if I'm looking here, 1 is always going to be our factor. I have a 2 comes next over here, but I don't have any 2's on the bottom, so there's nothing in common there. I have a 3, and I also have a 3 in the bottom, so those are common factors. If I can stick with my shorter list here, with a 9 in the bottom here, I don't have any 9's on top, and I certainly don't have any 27's here as well. So that means my 2 common factors are a 1 and a 3, and the greatest of those common factors is going to be my 3. So our GCF is going to be 3. Not too bad, huh? 2 more to do. I'm going to actually have you try these next 2 on your own, and then we'll compare answers. So the next common factor I have here is going to be 8 and 40. So why don't you try that one now? All right, and let's go over the answer here. So for GCF, I'm going to stick with 8. So that means I have to have 1, and it's going to be 1 times 8, which is equal to 8. I then want to try a 2. So if I go to the calculator and I do 8 divided by 2, I get an answer of 4. So that means I can have 2 times 4 is equal to 8. And then I want to try and see if 3 works. So I'm going to do 8 divided by 3, decimal, so that means no, that is not a factor. I then need to find out, let's say, I'm going to start by writing these all down at the bottom here. For 8, my factors are going to be 1, 2, 4, and 8. And hopefully you can see that by writing these in order from smallest to largest, it makes them easy. It makes it easier to compare on the bottom. So let's go over and work with 40 now. So always start with the 1. So 1 times 40 is going to be equal to 40. I then want to see if 2 is going to be a factor. So let's go over my calculator here and do 40 divided by 2, and I get an answer of 20. So I can say that 2 times 20 is going to be equal to 40. Next number to try is 3, and if I do 40 divided by 3, I get a decimal, so that's not going to work. That is a no. I have to try 4 next. So if I put in 40 divided by 4, an answer of 10. So that's another one that does work. I have 4 times 10 is going to be 40. And try 5 next. So let's go to calculator. 40 divided by 5, get an answer of 8. So I'm finding a lot of factors here. So I have 5 times 8 is 40, and 5 and 8 are very close together, which means I only need to try a 6 and a 7 next to see if those work. So let's go over 40 divided by 6. Decimal doesn't work. Let's try 40 divided by 7. Another decimal, so neither of those work. So I can put no's right down here. So let's figure out what our factors of 40 are. Our factors of 40 are going to be 1, then a 2, then a 4, then a 5, then an 8, then a 10, 20, and 40. So a lot of factors here for 40. Now we need to figure out what our common factors are going to be. So as usual, the 1s will always match up. I also have 2s that match up. I have 4s that match up. This is great so far. And 8 also match up. I don't have any more numbers here. So of all those numbers, we now need to find the greatest one. So that's the number all the way on the right that we highlighted, which is going to be our 8s. So our GCF, as we would write that over into Schoology, is going to be 8. One more I'd like you to try on your own. Why don't you try this one now? And let's start going over the work that you did. So for GCF of 12, let's start with the 12 first. 1 times 12 is 12. And then I want to see if 2 is divisible. If 2 can be divided into 12. So I start off with 12, divide by 2, I get an answer of 6. So 2 times 6 is 12. And then I can try to see if 3 goes into 12. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. And I don't need to try a 4 next because I already have that part of this answer here. So for answers for 12 are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Now we need to figure out our factors of 30. So I'll always do 1. 1 times 30 is 30. I have to try 2 next. So if I go to the calculator, 30 divided by 2, I have a whole number, 15. So 2 times 15 is equal to 30. I can then try a 3 next. So if I have 30, divide that by 3, I get an answer of 10. So 3 times 10 is going to be 30. So now I have to try the other numbers between there. So let's try 4. 30 divided by 4, I got a decimal. So that's going to be a big no. And then we're going to try 5 next. 30 divided by 5, whole number here. So I have 5 times 6. And I don't need to try that 6 next because 5 times 6 is 30 and 6 is already included under 5. So lastly, I'm just going to write down all of my factors of 30, which is going to be 1, then a 2, then a 3, and I'm just going right down this list here, and then I have a 5. Then I can start going up this column here, so that's going to be giving me 6, 10, 15, and 30. So now it's time to find our common factors. I'll highlight our common here, factor. So our common factors are always going to be the 1s. Now notice I have 2s in here as well, so I can highlight the 2s. 3s also work out, so 3 and 3. 4, I don't have any 4s over here. 6, I have 6s on both the top and on the bottom. 12, do I have a 12 down here? I do not. So these are all the common factors. And now I need to find the greatest of those common factors. and that's going to be the ones that come on the end here. So that will be our 6s. So the GCF for 12 and 30 is going to be 6. That's it for today's video. We're going to do more like this tomorrow. Make sure that you put in the secret word. Today's secret word is going to be pet. So make sure you enter that in on the first question for today's work so you can get credit for it. If you're having any difficulty with these, please stop by my Zoom office hours. The schedule's up on Schoology. If not, I will see you tomorrow.